Be part of the conversation. Speak your mind. Tweet us at PowerFM987.
You know, I said this the other day to a guest who said to me that they left high school and they went to university and they did their degree for their parents. And then they went off and pursued their acting dream. And I thought, how do you burn the midnight oil in the name of someone else? How do you do it? How do you take that test? Do they come and beat you at res? Like, how do you submit to doing that? I personally could not understand it. But I've thought about it quite a bit before this conversation. And there's a lot of pressure if you have been invested into as the child of perhaps people who are indigent, or perhaps people who have had to get everything on bursary or scholarship, etc. If you are the one true hope for the family that they will have, if you are the firstborn, if you are the lastborn, there's an array of things that you could have grown up having put in your face, saying that you are the one who needs to be the first to do X, Y, and Z for the family. And so I thought we'd talk about that today and talk about the pressure to conform to what your parents want you to do in terms of careers. And now we are on the other side. So we are the parents now who are putting the pressure. But if you grew up that way with that pressure to conform, I'd love to hear from you on 0861987000. You know, there was a time, and I recall as I was coming up, you know, parents were like, what are you going to do with a BA? A BA is the most stupid degree you could get. Artists are dumb. Don't do anything in the arts. You will starve. You will die. And, you know, artists who are thriving can tell you a different story. It's difficult, but there is a different side of it. And eventually it's got to the point where even going into medicine is being looked at in a strange way because of how many people are not able to get jobs in South Africa with MDs. It's very, very interesting what's going on. And therefore, I wonder if the solution is to allow your young person to make their own mind up and support no matter what, or are there tricks? Debbie, we always want tricks. Debbie McCrystal is our founder and owner of Conscious Kids, who's our guest today. We want tricks to steer them gently into the direction that we,
manipulation.
Just from the back, just kind of turn them around. Welcome to the program. It's nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the very beginning. I mean, the pressure to conform, parents pushing their kids into careers that they don't want. We've been hearing this for years, for ages. And I wonder what's happening within the dynamic that parents feel that they have to exert this kind of force on their children.
So, being a parent with a kid in matric, kind of know what this feels like. And I think what it is there's this crippling fear that comes from kind of, I think two-part is partly how we were raised and our story of our own success or failure, but also the other hand would be the fear of the unknown, that like the idea of our kids moving into something that isn't necessarily something that we know or isn't guaranteed. It's kind of like, it's like, I don't want my kid to fall down a hole and then I can't get them and pull them back out again, or, you know, so I think it's coming from love when, hopefully, when parents kind of insist on the old school, for want of a better word, type jobs. But at the same time, I think, you know, it's safer there because I know what that is, because the history says that it's the way to go, as opposed to daring to look at what's coming.
Because there was a time even, you know, tech and computing was seen as something quite fringe, right?
Yes.
And now look at us.
Yeah.
So we don't know necessarily what the future holds.
No.
But we'd like to protect our children as well, which I think is very important. What's the psychological effect on that parental pressure on your son, for example, who's a matric?
Okay, so again, I think we've got to remember that teens are kind of wired to be rebellious, and and also they're pushing against us because of that independence thing.
Yeah.
So emotionally, it can go two ways. One, they can completely rebel, in which case we lose any power that we had.
Yeah.
And the other side is obviously what you spoke about before, is that they conform to what we want, and then there's that sort of, suppressing who they are, their own identities, and then obviously the people pleasing and the anxiety and the burnout and the stress and fast forward depression that can come from pushing ourselves into being something that they don't necessarily want to be.
I'd like to delve into that a bit more, because just because you see somebody saying, I did these 3 years of this degree for my parents, it is all the words you said: self-suppression, people-pleasing, etc. and so forth. And so you find yourself then in romantic relationship points of view where you don't know what your opinion is, your voice is. You can't stand for yourself.
Yeah.
Or you end up in these very abusive and toxic workplaces where you just know how to yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. I mean, the impact on your overall life, even though you're earning maybe the engineer's salary, who are you as a person?
Exactly. That's why I always do this whole fast forward to what you're doing now, to what you're potentially creating by doing these things. Because exactly that, if you are forcing your kids from little to conform to exactly how you say it and the way it should be is the gospel according to me, then what are we teaching our kids in terms of choosing a partner that actually treats them right, as opposed to somebody who tells them what to do and doesn't let them think for themselves? And is that kind of, and like you said, the workforce as well, is do you want them to be in an environment where they are, for want of a better word, being abused because they don't know how to speak up for themselves?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to press that fast forward button and to consider, what am I teaching my kids?
Let's have some compassion for the parent. So perhaps you have Jennifer Lopez talent and you're trying to make it in a Mariah Carey world. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Okay. And the schools will take you. Music school will take you. TUT and the theatre school, they'll take you, right? But as your parent, I can see.
Yeah.
But it's what you love.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
How, if we are being compassionate to the parent, how then do you handle that? And that can be talent, but that can also be your mathematical ability or your ability to write, whatever it is. But it's what the child wants to do. How do you even say anything? What do you do?
I think in these situations is, again, like I said, with your, especially because this is the time when you're having these conversations, is with teens, is they're busy trying to form their identity.
Yes.
And they're very passionate about what they want to do. So you don't want to run the risk of cutting ties with your kids. So what you want to be doing is just get curious. Is I love that you're so excited about this, but what is it about that you're so excited about? And kind of see if you can steer conversations that move towards, okay, so this is what you want to do, and love that for you, but let's also look at, and let's look at this, because okay, fine, you want to be a dancer, but does that look like, maybe it's choreography, maybe it's, I don't know off the top of my head, but maybe there's something bigger that can come from, absolutely love that you love dancing, and maybe as your mom, I'm the only one that can see that, but there is, I don't want to shoot that down because I don't want you to lose your dream. So let's together have a little trip down exploratory road.
So when you go to that open day, you can kind of ask curious questions about what else in this theatre department
is there that we can learn. Yeah, and I think it's about walking next. We want to be the kind of scaffold that they climb.
Yes.
Not kind of bending it the way we want it to go,
Sure.
but just kind of, so the thing is invariably with teens is if we allow them to go down a road where we kind of are supportive of it, invariably they do tend to come to a realistic conclusion at the end of it. Whereas if we push back, and then kind of the fight flight mode of them kicks in, and that's when rebellion can kick in. And we've got to be very tiptoey around that. We don't want that to happen, because then we've lost any ability to have an input in the choices that they make.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And I wonder if or a lot of us had that moment. And so we remember that dance with our parents. And if it wasn't positive, do everything we can to make sure that it is positive for those that we are raising. I got told a lot by a lot of family members, this industry sucks, don't do it, do something else. You're actually quite smart, go to university.
Be a lawyer.
But this is no dentistry. Hello. So this is all the people who raised me, and they all did theater, radio, TV. So I was like, "What are you talking?" First of all, and I became that very rebellious person who, no matter what, I'd push through and push through and push through. And I got really good because of that, but also because I wanted to show that I can do this and it is possible. And so my brother walked in the other day, and all we do is support him. We just like, you can do it. This is great. You're wonderful. Love the jokes. And he was saying something, and it felt almost like he felt I don't know, like it felt as if he felt we weren't supporting him. I don't know how to explain that. And so I said, what I'm going to do? I'm going to treat you like they treated me. I'm going to tell you, you can't do this. You'll never get anywhere. And then you'll see how far you'll get. And he said, no, please, no. But there is a part of that, absolutely, that the rebellion then really, really sinks in, and there's a no matter whatism that can also be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Can we talk about...
it worked out well for you, but that's... potentially the exception
many
to the rule.
burnouts later. Many burnouts later.
Okay, well, there we go.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about how, I think this has been answered because you talked about getting curious together. I wanted to ask about the legitimacy and the potential of certain coding jobs or jobs of the future that we haven't even thought of yet, right? I mean, I can imagine somebody like... because not them, there's a lot of hubris there, but somebody like Elon Musk saying, I want to eventually, build a thing that is going to go into Mars. You've got to kind of get in with your child and go, let's see how possible that is. How do we get you there? Right?
Well, I mean, imagine Elon's parents. I mean, I suppose there was an element in them that kind of did create him.
Yes.
But I mean... back when he was little, it probably was bizarre to even conceptualize.
And aren't we in that space now?
Look where we are. Yeah. And I think the key here is to acknowledge that, like, we absolutely can't foresee what's coming. Just like his parents probably didn't foresee that Mars was potentially an option. But here we are. And I think what we want to be doing is, again, we want to encourage that curiosity.
Yes.
That's kind of like, I love that, but like, let's get curious on exploring these avenues that look like whatever it is, but never shut it down. Like the limitless possibilities that exist. Because who are we?
But money's not limitless, Debbie.
Money is not. But again, there's curiosity is a good thing. But if it's directed where we have an input in their decisions, then there is the ability to be resilient as well. That's also important, because then it encourages them to keep pushing, which we want them to be doing as well.
I don't understand. Who's paying for this course is what I'm trying to say.
Look, I think if we're looking at some of the tech stuff, it doesn't all require coursework, There are loads of online things that are available for kids to do these days.
Yes.
There's loads of, there's Udemy, there are loads of, YouTube has self-help stuff that is making it a lot more feasible for people to have these careers that are all online. And I think as parents, we've got to, again, like I said earlier, is we've got to be conscious of the fact that we don't necessarily, I certainly don't. I'm useless with this tech stuff, but I do understand that the younger world are more in touch with that stuff, and there is a rapidly growing industry that is making a lot of money. And it doesn't necessarily look like a degree at the moment. So yes, money is not limitless, but I think, again, if we are willing to be open-minded, but at the same time, I think it's really important that what is happening is that youngsters are very much, everything is easily accessible and it's instant gratification. And what we as parents need to be teaching is that, it doesn't necessarily mean everything's going to be handed to you immediately, that you do need to still learn how to problem solve, how to take accountability for your actions, and resilience in pushing through the hard, because it's not all easy. You're not going to open up your laptop and suddenly there's going to be $1 million. You've got to work hard, and you've got to be consistent in your hard work.
So it sounds to me that there's a reframe that's necessary kind of almost across the board, but particularly for the parents, because we have a very specific kind of linear steps to success that we are accustomed to, that was shown to us, that maybe we grew up being told, but the world is different now. This isn't our parents' world, and this isn't the world. It's not
even ours. Even talking about it, I get uncomfortable because it's not. It's unknown for us.
Maybe I'm in denial. I love this tech stuff. I feel like, yes, I'm the generation born with an iPad, but I wasn't. It was a bicycle. Let's have a listen to. Sorry. Let's talk. Let's have a quick listen to this voice note that's coming for you, Debbie.
Hi, Papi. This is Lunga here. I have a cousin. She did engineering, chemical engineering. So now after that degree, she went and joined the Strictly Come Dancing in BBC. So now she's busy dancing while the engineering degree is gathering dust. Thank you.
So she finished her chemical engineering degree and went, thank you, everyone. Moved to the UK, and now she's on Strictly Come Dancing because that's what she loves. That's amazing.
I love that.
That's amazing. I wish I had more info if she was also interested in chemical engineering.
Yeah. I was going to say she became one of the professional dancers and by to chemical engineering.
Yeah. It seems like that. People love that, though. If you're very pretty, or if you have like a artistic skill and you go, and I also do chemical engineering. I have a master's. They love that kind of stuff. How do we find you, Debbie, and the work that you do?
You can find me on Conscious Kids, which is on Instagram and Facebook. And also my website is consciouskids.co.za.
Perfect. Thanks for coming to chat to us.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Debbie McCrystal, who's the founder and owner of Conscious Kids, here on Power Lunch, talking about the pressure that parents can put on their children to go into careers that they don't necessarily want to.